Hi, it's Kristen. It's been a little while since I've done a Feminist Friday video, so I thought let's do one now. I'm just in the spare room at the moment, um, looking, my books are below you in front of me, and I was looking at like my feminist non-fiction, my feminist fiction, trying to decide what I wanted to read next, and I think I'm gonna go for Watch Us Rise by Renee Watson and Ellen Hagen. This is one I bought last year after reading the premise and thinking it sounded really interesting. I was excited to get to it, and then I kept putting it off because I was like, it's not the right time. I'm gonna love this book. I think I'm gonna love this book, but it's not the right time to read it. When that's just stupid. I need to just read it. So the premise is that there are two girls called Jasmine and Chelsea, and they are unhappy, I think, with how things are in their school, and they really want to push the girls' women's voices front and centre. So I'm really excited about this. I've spoken before about how I really like books that have like a group of people, especially a group of young women coming together to work on like a project together. If you've read the book or seen the film version of Moxie, I really like the vibe of that. The main character decides to start a zine, and then slowly like all the girls in school get involved in like the premise of Moxie, and rally together to do lots of like school related and out of school like projects like the zine, and they have like a little mini fair thing. I really liked that. So if this is anything like that, I'm sure I'll enjoy it. And also I'm thinking this one might be a bit more intersectional with judging by the cover, because clearly we can see that one of the main characters is a black girl, and I know that one of the criticisms of Moxie, and something I did sort of take issue with, was that it was sort of like surface level feminism. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't very it didn't go into depth with like intersectionality or anything like that, which I wouldn't necessarily expect it to majorly, but I think that's something definitely to address. So I'm hoping this will be like along the same vein, but perhaps a bit more diverse. But I'm excited to get to this one. I'm gonna start it this afternoon. I've got no work tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday, not working, and I'm not working Monday either, and potentially not working Tuesday. So I've got time to devote to this. Let's go. Good morning. I woke up about an hour ago and I've just been led in bed reading. I'm really enjoying this one. I read some of it yesterday as well, sat in the garden in the sunshine, which was really nice. I'm liking the sort of mixed media elements in this one. So the girls, Jasmine and Chelsea, have started a blog all about being women and the things that they have to face. They've both left the school clubs that they were part of. In their school you have to be in a club, and they've both left their clubs because they thought that like the syllabus wasn't focusing on the right thing, or the teachers or other students involved in the group said some like offensive things, so they decided they wanted a place that was really focused on what they wanted to focus on. So they started their own club and they have a blog
and we get to see the blog posts and poems and stuff that they're writing, and I quite like it because it's also got parts where it shows like who liked it and like reblogged and stuff, which I think is cool and like a fun way to add to the blog element. Yeah, I'm liking it so far. I think it's interesting because they say certain things that I don't necessarily fully agree with all the time. Like I can see where they're coming from and I completely like understand. And some of it I definitely agree with, and some of it I maybe don't, but I think that's, you know, feminism. That women can have different opinions on things and still come together as like a collective, but maybe on an issue here and there we don't completely see eye to eye, or we can have multiple perspectives on the same thing. Like there's a poem that Chelsea writes about the princess industrial complex, so about how little girls are like brought up to believe they should be a princess and they need to find a prince and stuff like that, which I do think that kind of thing is really pervasive with young girls, but at the same time I can acknowledge that I even do still really enjoy like a princess story. Like I do have a lot of fondness for Disney movies, mainly because I guess I watched them when I was younger, but I really liked them when I was younger and I have nostalgia and love for them now. Do I acknowledge that they're very problematic? Yes. Do I still think there are some elements that can be enjoyed? Yes. Do I think I want to see more princess media where tropes are subverted? Yes. Yeah, I think I kind of wish I was reading this alongside someone, like a friend or my sister or my book club or something, because I think it can generate lots of conversation, and I think it would be fun to read it alongside someone and have those conversations. Yeah, but yeah, enjoying it so far.
It's days like these when I miss having my short hair, because I don't have too much hair for it to be down and like on my shoulders and my back, but I put it up and it's so heavy. Anyway, I've put it up because I'm gonna go outside to read. I'm hoping I can finish this today. We will see. But it's just so hot. It's so hot. But I'm hoping outside in the shade will be okay. So let's see. I'm really liking the inclusion of the posts that they do. They make lists and they write poetry and all that, all their like feminist writings, which I'm really enjoying reading, and it's pushing me back to, I have a poetry book upstairs that I haven't opened in a little while, that's just poems by women about being women. So I think after I finish this one I might pick that back up. I've been reading it like on and off, like a poem here, a poem there. I'm not a massive poetry person, but I'm enjoying what was written in this book, so I do want to get more into poetry. So I think, yeah, once I finished
Watch Us Rise, I'm gonna pick up that poetry book again and read a few more things, get a bit further into it. But for now, I'm so close to the end. I've got, I think, less than 50 pages, and it's lovely sunshine outside, so I'm gonna finish my book in the sunshine.
Apologies for any background noise, but my window is wide open because it's so hot, which you might be able to tell from my very pink cheeks. I finished reading Watch Us Rise earlier when I was sat in the garden in the shade. Lovely reading experience. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it tackled the things it addressed very well. It was diverse in that they spoke a lot about intersectionality. They covered topics like race, class, sexual harassment, bodies in terms of like consent and owning our bodies, but also Jasmine, one of the main characters, is a fat girl, is how she describes herself. She says that she's fat, and so there are some issues and conversations around that. I will say that I was reading some reviews, and there was one that I agreed with that said, considering they talk so much about intersectionality, there's not really much mention of the LGBTQ plus community. There's like a couple of passing lines where they're just talking about being inclusive of everyone, but queerness isn't really discussed, and there's like no mention really of disabled women in their feminism, which would have been nice to see at least addressed, I think. But what it did cover, I thought it covered well. This book stirred up a lot of emotions in me. There were some moments that were incredibly sad. Jasmine's dad has been diagnosed with cancer, and he is dying from it. They can't cure it, so he knows he's dying. They all know that he's dying. So that was quite tough to read, but I thought emotionally dealt with well and sympathetically. There were also moments that made me incredibly angry, like on behalf of the characters, in the way that some of the teachers and the other students were treating the girls like individually, and their like feminist women's rights group, the way that they were being treated made me incredibly angry and stirred up a lot of passion in me. But then also in the moments where all the girls came together, and all the women came together, and their group and their community came together, were really interesting to read, like all the actions they took, and I thought quite inspiring and empowering. I love reading about stuff like that, like projects, protests, things like that. I find so interesting, and really, I don't know, it stirs something up in me. It makes me want to go out there and fight the patriarchy. There were moments though, I do think, where the character, and this isn't like a flaw with the book, this is just my reactions to some of the characters and character choices, where they would, particularly Chelsea, call things out or
sort of not have a go at someone, but like, yeah, call people out, try and start conversations, try and talk people down from certain points of view, that I do think I would have had that mentality when I was younger, but as someone who's older than these characters, there's an element of me, there's like a part of me that has a mindset of all of these things are incredibly important and they should be spoken about and called out and talked about, but you've got to pick like when and where and how are best to have these conversations, which some of the older characters, like the teachers and the owner of this bookstore they go to, say to the girls. So I think it is, even though I'm not as old as the teacher characters, I think there is that that adult point of view of having like a bit more experience is also in there, which I appreciated. I do think, because this book is a young adult book, I do think young adult me would have loved this, like, wholeheartedly. Adult me likes this. I liked it a lot. I liked what it said. I think it was a great read all round, but I do think that young adult me would have been even more into this, which is fair because it's a young adult book. So if you're already well versed in feminism, I think this is nice to read in that, even though the characters obviously aren't real, it's nice to think that young people are like carrying these feminist messages forwards, and they do show the differences between like generations and how things have changed and different viewpoints, and I think that is nice to read about. But I think reading this as a teen would be a much more impactful. I sort of wish this had been out when I was younger and I could have read it then, but I did still like it. So yeah, I think it's probably like a 3.75 4-star book. So yeah, if you like feminist fiction and you like young adult fiction, I would definitely say give this a go. If you know a teen who is into feminism or getting into feminism, I would recommend this to them. Yeah, really enjoyed it. This is the first thing I've read, I think. I may have read a short story from Renee Watson in like an anthology, but I'm not sure, but this is the first like full-length thing I've read from either Renee Watson or Ellen Hagen, and I do think I would pick up something from either of them again. So yeah, I had a really lovely reading experience because it's been so hot and bright and sunny the past few days that I've just spent most of my time in my garden reading this in the shade, which has been really nice. So yes, another Feminist Friday with a book I really enjoyed. I'm just quickly jumping back in to mention something that I forgot to mention when I wrapped things up. That at the back of this book there's actually a bunch of resources here, so resources for young activists. So it's got a list of poets who make us rise, it's got book recommendations, it's got blog and website recommendations that can educate and empower, it's got organisations that do activist work, resources for body positivity, more stuff about the women who they quote throughout the book. So I just thought that was a really cool like add-on to this book, and I'm definitely going to be looking into all these things too. So yes, that was just a little extra bonus at the back of this book that I thought was good to note if you like that kind of thing, if you like bonus content in books, or if you're always looking for new blogs, websites,
books, people who do great work to read about and follow. So yeah, so that concludes another Feminist Friday. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you soon with another video soon. Bye.